all welcome to our quarterly Rule of Law launch. My name is Moses. Present to be here with us today. Allow me ask my colleague to take over.
Thank you so much, Mr. CEO. Good morning to everyone. I'm so glad to see everyone present at this launch. My name is Gaudius Turiasingura. Sorry about that. My name is Gaudius Turiasingura. I work with the Rule of Law Department at the Uganda Law Society. And as the Uganda Law Society, we are so delighted to have everyone present. We have an agenda for this breakfast meeting for the launch of the Uganda Law Society 25th Quarterly Rule of Law Report 2023. And our small agenda already started with arrival and the registration and then breakfast. So in case you're present and you've not yet had breakfast, please, you can move outside or by the side and you have some breakfast. Then we shall have a small introduction so that we can know each other as we are present here in this breakfast meeting. Then we shall have remarks from the CEO of the Uganda Law Society. Then we shall have remarks and a presentation of the report from the President of the Uganda Law Society, Mr. Bernard Owundo. Then we shall have a plenary session to have an interaction or a deliberation with our stakeholders on what has been reported in this quarterly Rule of Law report. Then we shall end with a launch, and then we shall have a group photo and then departure. Before I embrace the agenda more, allow me to recognize the presence of some of our key stakeholders at this meeting. To begin with, we have a key representation from the UPDF. We recognize the presence of Professor Godard Businje. He's always present for these quarterly rule of law reports. Professor, we welcome you, sir. And we thank you for your consistency when it comes to being present at these launches. Then Professor is came with other colleagues, and we have Kano Deo Karikona. Sir, you're also a consistent guest to these events. Thank you. We also have representation from the police. We have Mr. Onyango, he's the assistant spokesperson of police. Sir, we recognize your presence. We also have SP Igumira Isaiah. We recognize your presence, sir, from the Uganda police. We have several dignitaries. We have the executive director of NetPil, Mr. Arthur Nsereko. He was present. Thank you so much for coming. Then we have the executive director for ACTV, Mr. Nsubuga. He's also a consistent guest to these events. We have Madam Margaret Sekaja. She is another consistent guest from the Human Rights Center, Uganda. Then we have Mr. Iranya Ben Michael from the UPDF. We welcome you, sir. We have Miss Olivia Grace from LASPNet with another colleague from LASPNet. Okay. Then we also have a representative from the GIZ. I saw Francesca around. Yes, thank you so much, Francesca, for coming. We We have members from the diplomatic missions. We have a representation from the European Union. Then we have representation from the Germany embassy. Then we have members of the Uganda Law Society. Now, I might not be able to go through everyone. At this moment, after recognizing everyone, allow me take us to the second slot on our agenda, where we can have a bit of interaction, where everyone can introduce themselves and they tell us where they have come from. Thank you. I think we can start from here. Okay. Yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rachel Odoi Musoke. I'm the Senior Technical Advisor at the Governance and Security Program Secretariat.
Good morning. Paul Otim Okelo is my name. I'm from the EU delegation to Uganda. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. My name is Rita Achiro Lako. I work with Uganda Women's Network at the Secretariat as the Executive Director.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Grace Naiga. I'm the Executive Director at Uganet.
Good morning. I am Lieutenant Ben Michael Iranya. I work with Director of Human Rights, UPDF.
Good morning, everyone. I'm SP Igumira Isaiah. I'm the head legal department, CID headquarters, and my director CID is also on his way coming to join us. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Colonel Deo Karikona, and I'm the Director, Human Rights, the Uganda People's Defense Forces.
Morning, everybody. I'm Senior Superintendent of Police, Patrick Onyango, spokesperson for Kampala Metropolitan Police. I'm representing Senior Commissioner of Police, Fred Enanga, who is the spokesperson for Uganda Police Force. Thank you.
I thought we had been introduced. Brigadier General Professor Godard Businje, I head legal service in the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nakalema Cynthia Faith. I'm a second-year law student at Makerere University.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nalwoga Hannah Sendagere, and I'm a fourth-year student at the School of Law, Makerere University.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Ayo. I am also a student at Makerere University, studying law, and I'm also the current president of the Rule of Law Club.
Good morning, everyone. I am Andrea Kadu, a fourth-year student at School of Law, Makerere University.
Good morning, everyone. Ian Cassad is my name, and I'm the current vice president of the Rule of Law Club of Makerere University.
Good morning. My name is Matthias Schauer. I'm the ambassador of Germany.
Morning, everyone. My name is Olivia Grace Nakaombe. I am the Revenue Advisory Officer at the Legal Service Providers Network. You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Bosco Mbiru and a program manager with Friedrich Ebert Steve Tank.
Good morning, everyone. Achim Vogt, I'm country director for the Friedrich Ebert Foundation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shalene Naluwama, and I'm the Human Rights Officer with the British High Commission.
Frederick Sempewa, advocate, Katende Sempewa and Company.
Hello, good morning. My name is Margaret Sekaja, Executive Director, Human Rights Center, Uganda.
Good morning, everyone. Sylvia Ndambiru Mukasa is my name, the Chief Executive Officer of Legal Service Providers Network.
Good morning, friends. My name is George Msisi. I work with Pace Advocate.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Samuel Herbert Nsubuga. I'm the Chief Executive Officer, African Center for Treatment and Rehabilitation of Torture Victims.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nicole Bieler with the DGF. Happy to be here.
Good morning to us all. And Sarako Arthur with the Network of Public Interest Lawyers, as well as the Rule of Law and Strategic Committee of the ULS. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rita Nansa Siwaso. I work as the Director of Legal Services at the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Richu Rehma, second year law student at Islamic University in Uganda.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nazwa Hibakazibwe. I'm a year 2 law student at Islamic University in Uganda.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kamugisha Johnson, and I'm the Vice President of Rule of Law Club, IUIU Kampala Campus.
Good morning, everyone. I am Chemtai Rebecca. I'm a student LLB2 at IUIU Kampala Campus.
Good morning, everyone. Nasuna Noeline, Communications Executive at Defenders Protection Initiative.
Good morning. My name is Mayonza Bob. I serve as the Country Director for Pilgrim Center for Reconciliation, Uganda.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Isaac Kasamani from the Daily Monitor.
Good morning. My name is Franziska Bertz. I'm the Head of Component for Human Rights and Conducive Environment under GIZ's governance program. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Iben Chizito Ian from IUIU second year student, LLB, and I happen to be the President, Rule of Law of IUIU.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nakanwa Jumariam, and I'm from Islamic University in Uganda, year 2.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Abebeki Kalmela Adonga. I am a student from Cavendish University, finalist, and I'm a Rule of Law member at the Rule of Law Club. Thank you.
Good morning. You're most welcome. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. I'm Monica Ejang, the Vice President, Rule of Law Club of Cavendish University. I'm a final year law student. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I wish to thank everyone for undertaking that activity. I hope we now know each other. Without wasting time, I wish to welcome the Chief Executive Officer of the Uganda Law Society to give his welcoming remarks. Mr. CEO.
Thank you very much, Gaudius. Good morning, everyone, once again. I see we didn't give Robert an opportunity. My colleague Robert Chirenga, the director of the Coalition for Human Rights Defenders. Robert, you're welcome. Invited guests, all protocol observed. As laid out, we would like to thank you for once again creating time to attend our launch. It's the first launch of the year, and we are glad that you've joined us today. I know we have currently, I've been told, one of the issues that has been making the news, we have a honorable minister being arraigned before courts of law. So the media is awash with updates and all that, which could have kept away one of the invited guests, the director CID, but we are glad that certain aspects of the rule of law are taking effect. Allow me also to recognize members of our executive, led by our president, and other members of our executive council present, as well as the secretariat team. Please stand up for recognition, as well as the winning team, the rule of law department. Gaudius, Owami, Rita, thank you for the good work, as well as members of the rule of law committee, Arthur. I only see Mr. Arthur and Seriko and others here. Thank you for all the guidance. I also want to thank, in a special way, the Governance and Security Program, formerly GELOS, represented by Rachel. Rachel, thank you very much, and the team. The Governance and Security Program has constantly, over the years, supported us as an institution, the Uganda Law Society. We're also proud to be members of the Governance and Security Program. And they have extended to us technical and financial support for us to be able to have these launches and several other initiatives of the Uganda Law Society. Rachel, please return our gratitude to the team. Thank you very much. We apologize for starting slightly behind schedule. We were alive to the fact that several members were delayed, but we are glad that you still were able to make it. On behalf of the Secretariat, allow me to thank you very much for all the efforts and the partnership you've extended to the Law Society over the years. And we are being true to our mandate, with one of our core mandates being fostering the rule of law and good governance. And our launch is a testament to our mandate, where we've been able to profile outstanding issues relating to the rule of law, good governance, that we believe we should be able to bring to the attention. Also allow me to thank the Fourth Estate. Our colleagues from the media, you can as well come in. Those who are coming in. The Fourth Estate is an indispensable partner in the quest for the rule of law and good governance. They keep both state and non-state actors at bay by giving the public and all the stakeholders the relevant information. So the Fourth Estate, we are glad that you've joined us today, and we believe your role will help us disseminate the message further and further. At this juncture, maybe allow me one more. We have Professor Sempewa was very modest in his introduction. But Professor Sempewa has been an outstanding rule of law vanguard for us as a society and the country at large. He has contributed immensely to several of our rule of law interventions, and we are glad that as a senior and distinguished member of the bar, past president and senior counsel of the Law Society, that you found time to be part of a journey that you started several years ago. Allow me also to thank Nicole from the DGF. The DGF has been a very dear partner to the Uganda Law Society over the years. And despite a decision to end operations early last year. We are glad that the fund has continued to work with partners in ensuring that the program that they were running in the country over the last 8 years comes to an end. And Nicole, we are glad that as a fund, you've continued supporting the partners with logistics and all the assets and all the technical assistance that you were able to extend to all the partners. You have over 10 partners in the room. Given that you are the biggest development partner in the justice sector at the time, we are glad that you're still part of this journey, and pass on our regards to the fund. At this juncture, without wasting so much time, since we are behind time, allow me to invite our president, Mr. Bernard Owundo, to come and address the gathering. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bernard Owundo, as already introduced. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Uganda Law Society to welcome you again this morning to the 25th quarterly launch of the Rule of Law Report. As you are aware, the Uganda Law Society exists, and one of its core mandates is for promotion of rule of law and good governance in this country. That is one of our mandates that is also reflected in our strategic plan. Before I continue, I know that the CEO has thanked every partner that has supported us. I want to add my thanks and sincere thanks. Thank you so much for supporting us in ensuring that we continue to deliver this mandate. Let me make special recognition of Professor Sempewa, who was the founding chairperson of these quarterly Rule of Law reports, and I think it's important. But also his dedicated service over the years. We must appreciate that. And the fact that he continues to come. I was seated on that table, and rule of law matters are very political sometimes. So sometimes you have to look behind and see who is with you. But having Professor Sempewa sit with me and Madam Margaret Sekaja sit with me is always an honor for you to be able to look behind and say, well, I have some people here on the side. So it is always an honor. Let me also take special recognition of my lecturer. Sometimes, we forget where we came from, but I also want to take special recognition of Professor Godat Businje, who actually taught me international humanitarian law. And now that we are going to discuss why civilians must be tried in military courts, I want to have this discussion again with him. But allow me to introduce him as a sign of gratitude for. So members, I know you've all been introduced in your respective capacities. All protocol observed. All protocol observed. We are kindly short on time. So you'll allow me go through the issues that we have raised in this report. It has been a very busy season, January to March 31st. And there have been a number of issues that have come up and that we thought that we should be able to address. I think the first issue that we have addressed is the grant of bail to Muhammad Segrinya and Alan Sewanyana. As Uganda Law Society, we note that it took 16 months to have them released on bail. And we've had a number of things that happened, whether it was negotiated bail. There are different terminologies that have been used. But for us, the most important point and the most important advice that we are giving to all the stakeholders in the judiciary system is a reminder that right to bail is a constitutional right. That is very important. For people to take 16 months in jail is simply unconstitutional. So right to bail is a constitutional right. The government must continue to respect the right to bail. It is fundamental for the purposes of personal liberty, and we have taken note of that in our report. The other important aspect that has happened in this quarter has been the passing, the release of about 3 important constitutional judgments that have implications on fundamental freedoms and rights in Uganda. I think the most recent was the one concerning the offensive communications under the Computer Misuse Act and Uganda Law Society. There are 2 cases under here. You have Uganda Law Society and others versus Attorney General. You also have Andrew Karamaja and another versus Attorney General. We want to applaud the courts for continuing to re-emphasize the principle that when you are legislating for the people, you must ensure that the terminologies used are not vague, they are not overly broad, and they are not ambiguous. The courts have re-emphasized that in these two decisions, and I want to welcome the above constitutional decision as another positive step towards the protection and promotion of the constitutional right to freedom of expression. I want to applaud the courts for the decisions that have come through. The other fundamental decision that came through about a month ago was Uganda versus Lule David, Katongole Julius, and Honorable Chagulanyi Robert on the right to freedom of assembly. I think the courts have again done a tremendous job in re-emphasizing the right to freedom of assembly. And just briefly, what the courts have stated is that Section 5 and 10, to the extent that they impose penal sanctions on organizers and participants in full, unauthorized, and public meetings, those provisions contravene Article 29(1)(d) of the 1995 Constitution and are therefore null and void. So the courts has re-emphasized the principle of the right to freedom of assembly. So we want to applaud the courts in that matter too. The other positives we take from this quarter is the case backlog reduction process. We have seen the numbers coming from the judiciary. I'll not go into the numbers, but you can see that there is significant work being done to reduce case backlog in the courts. I think that is that should be applauded. The other that we have seen is the positive observations we note from the Uganda Police launch of the 2022 annual crime report. We have observed that out of the cases that were filed, at least we had about 68,405 cases which were taken to court. We note that the police is doing as much as it can because they are the first people we go to in case of in case of crimes. They are doing what they can, but we urgently urge government to consider allocating more funds to the police and to the Director of Public Prosecutions, just like they have done with the judiciary. We believe that the justice system cannot be isolated. You start from the police, and then the DPP, and then the judiciary, especially for criminal cases. So it is important that the police and the Director of Public Prosecution are also funded. In the areas of transparency and accountability, I think this is where a lot of issues have been raised. Number one is the Karamoja Iron Sheet scandal. And as a law society, we know that the Constitution provides that all public offices shall be held in trust for the people. Therefore, all persons placed in positions of leadership and responsibility must be answerable to the people. We would like to commend, because today we have just I'm told there's the arrest of the Minister for Karamoja Affairs. While we note that and upload the Uganda Police and the CID, we're also asking them to expedite the prosecution of all the other people who are involved in the Karamoja iron sheet scandal. So as Uganda Law Society, we have noted that. We have also noted the provisions that clearly provide that you hold these public offices in trust for the people of Uganda, and that all persons placed in positions of leadership and responsibility must ultimately be answerable to the people of Uganda. And if they have committed any offenses, they then must be prosecuted in accordance with the law. So as Uganda Law Society, we note, especially on this morning when we are launching this report, the prosecution of those who have been implicated. But we also ask that you expedite the prosecution of the others who participated in the Karamoja iron sheets scandal. In the area of human rights, there are a number of issues. Of course, one of them, which is related to the iron sheet scandal, was the arrest of demonstrators over the Karamoja iron sheet scandal. This happened about a week ago. And we have restated that Article 29 allows us freedom of assembly. The Constitutional Court has also come out to re-emphasize freedom of assembly. And we condemn the acts of the... Two things we do. We condemn acts of the public assaulting police officers in the line of duty. We believe that the freedom of assembly should be exercised peacefully. But we also advise government to allow citizens to exercise their constitutional rights of freedom of association and demonstration in line with the recent Constitutional Court decision on the Public Order Management Act. So we call upon the government, and we also advise government to immediately release all those protesters and those who have been found to have been criminal culpable, and they should be to release all the protesters and continue the call to expedite those who are found culpable in the iron sheet scandal. So we shouldn't be prosecuting those who are protesting against it and leaving those who are actually involved free. It is an ironic situation. So we must ensure that that process is expedited. This quarter, one of the things that we are now also putting a flashlight on is violation of children's rights. We have followed about 3 cases. One on February 2nd, 2023, where the Buganda Road Court charged Nicholas and Mackenzie Spesa with aggravated human trafficking. We also have another similar incident of 3 parents in Apache district, where these are currently in police custody for torturing their children. We also have another offense of kidnapping and killing of a 7-year-old John Isabirie in Namwenda town. So we are putting a spotlight on violation of children's rights. It is increasing. We must focus on it. And we are recommending that the Ministry of Gender, Labor, and Social Development, as well as local government, institute specific inquiries into the rising cases of child abuse and streamline measures to reduce the cases. We're also calling upon government to create awareness on the rights of children and also support to the victims to enable them access justice. The other 2 remaining issues on due process and climate of legality, because I can't go on through the whole report, it's 45 pages, has been the issue of trial of civilians in the court-martial. As Uganda Law Society, we continue to appeal to the government that ongoing trial of civilians in military courts violates both domestic and international law. There is international consensus that the trial of civilians by military tribunals contravenes the non-derogable right to a fair trial, by a competent, independent, and impartial court to the extent that they violate rights guaranteed by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And as you remember, most recently we've had the case of retired Captain Amon Biarugaba and others versus AG, where the Constitutional Court has held that military courts have no jurisdiction to try civilians. This follows the earlier case of the Kabazuruguka decision, where the courts was also re-emphasizing that principle. So in our report, we recommend that the General Court-Martial should cease trying civilians with immediate effect. All criminal cases in which civilians have been charged before the military courts and are pending trial should immediately be transferred to a competent civilian court of judicature and taken over by the Director of Public Prosecutions. There has been debate in some circles. When I raised this, I think at one of the functions, the AG said there was another decision which was contradicting. We've not been able to get access to that decision because what we now have are two cases that have re-emphasized this point. Lastly, before I go to pertinent legislation, the NEMA Express Penalty Scheme, this was one of the things that came up about a week ago, where the National Environmental Authority had, by press statement, promulgated a legislation requiring all Ugandans to carry a dustbin in the car. And as Uganda Law Society, we've come out strongly to advise NEMA that we love the environment, but we also love rule of law. So if you're going to do anything to protect the environment, ensure that you're doing it within the confines of the law. And I think subsequent to a number of letters that we have written to NEMA, we have seen a few clarifications, I think, that are helping us. One, they moved from all vehicles to now public service vehicles. So this is one of the other issues that we have played a role in as Uganda Law Society. Now moving to the pertinent legislations that have been passed, of course, one of the most important legislations that has been passed has been, during this time, the anti-homosexuality bill that has been passed by Parliament and is awaiting for assent to the President. As Uganda Law Society, we have said in a number of fora that enough consultation should have been made to enable people reach a consensus. And as Uganda Law Society, what we have done is we have constituted, we're going to constitute a committee to advise on the bill and see how we can engage before it is assented to by the President on the issues that have been raised. The number of issues that we need to consult on. One is, do you actually need an anti-homosexuality bill? Don't you actually have legislation that is sufficient to deal with the vice? And those are some of the issues that we are going to be able to look at as we find consensus on the position. Members, that is a summary of the report. Let me recognize the presence of the Director CID. Director, you're welcome. You're welcome. So that you don't hear it from someone else, we have uploaded you for the prosecution of the iron sheet. We have heard that a minister has been prosecuted, but we are further appealing to you to ensure that everyone involved in the iron sheet scandal is prosecuted. We have also uploaded you for the cases that were submitted to the judiciary, and have asked that government funds both the DPP and the police to ensure that the criminal system is well funded and is able to do its work. Members, these are our highlights of the report. I'm going to hand over back to the MC for the plenary session, and then we can have a discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Another round of applause. Yeah. Once again, I wish to appreciate everyone for sparing time to be present at this launch of the Uganda Law Society first quarter Rule of Law Report 2023. After the remarks from the President, at this moment, allow me take us to the next session, which shall be a plenary session, where we shall have deliberation and discussions on the key highlights from this quarter. We have key stakeholders from different government departments, entities. We have representatives from key civil society organizations in the country. So we shall have discussions on how far we have gone with ensuring that we comply with the rule of law, and our comments on the key highlights of this quarter. I shall start by requesting a key human rights activist, Counsel George Musisi from PACE Advocates, to give us his remarks. Then we shall continue with deliberations. Counsel Musisi shall give us a
Thank you. Good morning, friends. Once again, all protocol observed. I would just, first of all, I want to thank Uganda Law Society, the leadership, Mr. President. Professors ordered me to, professors don't make requests, they make orders. I would like to thank the leadership, President Bernard and the CEO Moses, for the good report. I would like to make two quick comments. The first one is on a matter of trial of civilians in army courts. I know that at another forum, the Attorney General has said that he's confused. I'm quoting his words. He said, "I'm confused about which decision to follow." However, I think if there's any person who has read the recent jurisprudence from the Constitutional Court, there is really nothing confusing about it. We have two decisions, one of them which was Kabaziguruka, delivered in May 2022. The Attorney General appealed and the Supreme Court gave a stay. The Constitutional Court delivered another decision in December 2022, and it gave directives. That decision has not been stayed. In fact, it gave directives that all files which are pending where the civilians should be transferred to the courts of judicature. I represent some people before the court martial, and I've raised this before the general court martial, even giving them certified copies of rulings. And the position I was given that we are still waiting for guidance from the Attorney General. And the same thing that the letter by the UHRC chair, I know she has also written to them, and they have given the same position. Now, the question is, where does it leave rule of law when there are directives of court, the Constitutional Court, which are supposed to take immediate effect? And that's where I'm calling upon our colleagues in the implementing agencies, because I want to tailor it to the other decisions that the President has highlighted, the decision of the right to freedom of assembly. Also, just like President Bernard, I went through the hands of Professor Goddard, and I trust that his interpretation and guidance of the law to the military officers is certainly very competent. So for me, I think that we need to respect the decisions of the courts. More so, where does it leave the rule of law when a judgment from a court as high as the Constitutional Court is not respected? Because they give directives. At the end of that decision, Amon Magezi, they give directives that immediately. So we all know, all lawyers know that directives are not susceptible to interpretation. You can't take a court directive to another interpretation to say, I don't respect it because I'm waiting for another interpretation. And similarly, it applies to the constitutional reference where a Constitutional Court still gave on the right to freedom of assembly. I was representing the accused persons before the Buganda Road Court,
and I'm the one who raised, when they were charged under the Public Order Management Act, I asked the magistrate to refer this matter to the Constitutional Court. And I'm glad the Constitutional Court removed the penal sanctions regarding the right freedom of assembly. And for the legal advisors to the police and the army, the essence of the Constitutional Court decision was expounding on the right. They didn't even put away the issues of give notice to police. They said it, the responsibility of organizers, but they removed the penal sanctions. So I was dismayed when I heard the police spokesperson, whom my brother, Mr. Onyango, is representing today, saying, whereas they annulled the POMA, we can still find another charge under the Police Act and other. The essence of the Constitutional Court decision was how is the right to freedom of assembly supposed to be exercised? Is it supposed to have penal repercussions? So, and for me, I think that the spirit of saying, okay, they annulled this, but we can look for another law, is meant to be prohibitive of the right, not regulate, which is supposed to be the duty of the police. So as I conclude, for me, I think it's the duty of the legal advisors, of especially our brothers in the armed forces, that if directives come to court, we all know that if even a directive, even an order which you don't want, you respect it, then you appeal it and it's overturned. If we leave decisions to say that because this one is against us, let us wait for the advice from elsewhere, I think as a country which believes in constitution as a model of it, leaves us in a very bad place. Therefore, for me, I think fundamentally, decisions of court, most importantly, should be respected unless overturned or stayed. And the trial of civilians in the court-martial, the prohibitive sanctions on the right to freedom of assembly, our courts have pronounced themselves quite clearly. It's our duty to advise and guide the implementing agencies. I thank you, friends.
Thank you so much, Council, for those key comments on the status of the rule of law during this quarter. You've given us live comments, and we thank you for that. This moment, allow me request a representative from the UPDF. I think I shall request Professor Brigadier Goddard Usinje to give us comments on the trials of civilians in the military courts. Professor, we request for your comments.
Moderator, thank you. Senior colleagues in the profession, development partners, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've been given one simple task. Talk about trial of civilians in military courts. But I also heard that the Attorney General said he was confused about that trial. Well, I did not hear it from him. And in my interaction with him, he has never been confused about that matter. And I trust he's not. Because trial of civilian in the military courts is a statutory provision. The UPDF Act allows that. One who aids or abets a member of the UPDF is tribal with that person. Decisions have been given by different courts, and we have respected them. I give you an example. In the case of Ambrose, Lieutenant Ambrose Ogwang, who murdered a police officer in Mbare some time back. He was tried. There were irregularities in that case in the trial by the military courts, and we obliged by sending him on the instruction of the Constitutional Court to the High Court for trial, and he was convicted appropriately. The case of Honorable Kabaziguruka, I know that there is an appeal in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has not pronounced itself on that appeal. The recent case is so recent that by the time it comes on board, Kawazukuka's appeal, which had the same implications, was already in the Supreme Court. Now, I don't think I have much to label on that, but that is the position. But also to let the colleagues know that the General Court Martial is one of the courts in the UPDF. We have the highest court, the Court Martial Appeal Court, whose chair is a former Registrar of the Supreme Court, Honorable Eric Yambona, and has been in place and operation since 1998. It is the highest court. But people maybe don't know about it and they don't talk about it. We also have the lower division courts martials. We no longer operationalize the field court martial, although it is still on the law, but it will be repealed very soon because of the changing circumstances. We no longer have those circumstances that warrant the field court martial, because where we operate, each unit is deployed with its own division court martial or unit disciplinary committee for disciplinary measures. So basically, I think that is what I can say. And I think, as you are aware, UPDF does not represent itself in courts of law. We go under the Attorney General. Attorney General is served, he comes to us, we give him information he requires, and in his capacity as the Chief Government Legal Advisor, and of course under Article 250 proceedings against the government, against the Attorney General. So I cannot answer more about that. That is it, my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor, for those comments. On behalf of the Uganda Law Society, we wish to thank the UPDF. Of recent, the Uganda Law Society, in partnership with the UPDF, we've been conducting human rights trainings to the UPDF officials. So we believe that with those trainings, we shall have an enhanced environment and fostering of the rule of law in all the UPDF's activities. At this moment, allow me recognize the presence of the German Embassy, His Excellency Shaw. Thank you so much for being present. We also have the Executive Director of LASPNet, Miss Livia Namubiru. Yes, thank you so much for being present. At this juncture, before we go into the questions, allow me request the Director CID to give us comments on the ongoing prosecution of the ongoing just a few comments on. Okay, we shall request him to give us a word, just a word, on the developments when it comes to the CID department, when it comes to compliance with the rule of law. Just comments. Okay, thank you.
For the first time, I've got pro bono services from my brother, the president. He advised me that I'm not supposed to talk about that. So I'm protected. So thank you, my brother. The president of the Law Society and the legal fraternity, the elders, professors, my colleagues from the forces, the development partners who are here. We are very excited to be here with you and to basically join you to show that we are together in this process of making sure we operate within the legal framework of this country. That's the message I've come to reaffirm myself. I have been in office for 1 year now. I want to tell you that there are so many things which we are trying to work on together. I've had chance to reach out to my brother, the president of the Law Society, to just explain to him how we want to partner together. You see, in the past, there has been a very bad blood between the Law Society and us. So we are working together on this relationship. We started with Fiona Then when he came in, I was very happy because we can't keep fighting on the streets and in the press when we are really civilized individuals in our various professions. So we are together, and I think even 2 weeks ago, I was very happy he paid a courtesy call to CID. We took him around. We had a lengthy discussion about the reforms. Now, I bring you greetings from the IGP, and we are trying to do our part as Uganda Police. I want to reiterate that I saw my people shared comments here before I came in. Indeed, the justice system requires the entire cycle to be on board. The discussion in this country has been police, you are bad, police, you are corrupt, police, you are failing the justice system. But when we released our annual crime report in February, there were very interesting statistics there. And I interest you as land friends and development partners to study those statistics very well. Because out of the over 200,000 so cases, the police had investigated over 100,000 last year alone. That's about 51%. And we had passed them over to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. And she had also passed on, I think, about 60 plus cases to the judiciary. The judiciary still had some also. So my argument has been the statistics actually clearly show if we want justice, we must have these people in the room. CID must equally be supported, and police, the way DPP is supported, and the way the judiciary is supported. I've spoken to the judiciary. I hope my brother himself. I've been in audiences where I've given an example of in Luganda here, there's a local Avana and Eviana. You know, children who are born in the wedlock and then those who are born outside. So police has been treated as Eviana for some time. Because when you give, we are not saying don't give the judiciary all the budget, but if they are driving comfortably, getting salaries which are comfortable. My sister Bod also keeps struggling, but you forget the one who takes the cases to them. Then I think strategically you are missing out something. So we have been feeling like Eviana. That's why we are here to partner with you. And when you listen to us, I think we are going to have a better administration of justice. I can tell you, if the Uganda police does not protect the judges, if we woke up, in fact, I had thought of it, but I am not, I'm a small man. I told the principal judge, but my Lord, supposing we withdraw our security in the morning, will you leave your homes to go to this? I'm not sure they would. Why? Because the same criminals we are arresting, they are breaking people's homes, they are doing everything. The following day, they are back to the society. But because the other group is highly protected, they will just release them without minding about society. So I was challenging them to start having the context in which the judiciary is operating in this country. The DPP is operating, the police, because we are all in this society. So if we bring you really people who have committed crimes, they have broken people's homes, they have raped, they have defiled, you should put yourself in that situation if it is your own children. And then we together, we shall have a conversation. Finally, there are also, Mr. President, I want to report to you, there are also some members of your family who are not being honorable enough in doing their work. I promised you I will keep sharing with you these statistics. I feel bad to arrest a lawyer who has defrauded all the foreign investors. So we are going to work together. You also have some elements within your family here whom I want us to work together so that together we can support this justice system. They will forge. I had never heard that a lawyer can forge a document of court and come and say, I have this order. So when we double check with the judiciary, they said, no, we are not aware about this. And you feel very embarrassed. So as you reflect on this conversation, also do some internal soul searching. I thank you very much for these comments. I'm around, but you'll allow me at some stage to run away. We have quite a busy day with some big clients. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. Another round of applause to... Yes, thank you so much. Now we shall entertain questions from the audience. You can ask questions and you can direct your questions to our stakeholders. Maybe we shall request for 2 minutes from the director in case there is a question to the CID department. You can put up your hand, then someone is moving with a microphone, then they can take your question. We can start from Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mine is a concern. You talked about the training that is going on, that has been going on from the Law Society to the UPDF officers. And it's a request that since the police is more on ground than the UPDF, maybe you should also look into training the police, because these policemen are the ones handling people. They are the ones arresting people. They are the ones effecting the arbitrary arrests. So I think it's much better to train even the police. They should have been the first option than the UPDF. But since the UPDF has been worked upon, then I think it's high time we trained the police officers. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Johnson, for that comment. We shall take up the question from...
Thank you so much. Thank you, Uganda Law Society, for a very comprehensive report. I have a number of comments. They may not be questions. Of recent, we've seen sometimes in the social media, we have all known that Uganda Prisons has been a flagship institution in terms of protecting human rights. But of recent, we've seen torture cases. One came from Moya, and it was reported in the news, in the social media, and there was an inmate that had been badly tortured and referred to Mulago Hospital. We are wondering whether those facts are correct, and it would be important for Uganda Law Society to pick interest. There is also Guru Remand Home. This is most recent. Youth from Kotido that were starved, and one of them passed on. Again, that is very, very critical, because we always thought that Uganda Prisons was leading by example. Mr. President, you mentioned something to do with the release on bail and the importance of respecting bail. Whereas Honorable Sewanyana was released and the others, the period that was taken was out of way. And so we need to take note of that. Moreover, now even the case is not proceeding. But what I was intrigued about from prisons, without a court release order, that is a question of rule of law and procedure that we need to look into as came out of that. The other aspect that I want also to make mention of is legal aid as an issue of protecting rule of law and good governance, ensuring that 80% of Ugandans have access to lawyers. So in the reporting period, we see the Attorney General coming out outrightly to object before the committee and Parliament, and having the bill referred back to the committee. And we find that the reasons are not justified. The Attorney General mentioned 48 billion to implement legal aid, yet the empirical research talks about 17 billion. The Attorney General talks about the fact that there was technicalities, yet the procedure was very much involving even the Office of the Attorney General in drafting when the 10th Parliament ruled. So that is an issue that we need to look into. Why is government objecting to provision of legal aid to Ugandans, 80%? At the same time, they are not fast-tracking the law. So we think those are issues that have to be looked into. Freedom of association, freedom of, and assembly, women being arrested on Women's Day. When they are carrying out a peaceful demonstration, that should also be captured. And it's part of the issues that arose. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Namobiru.
Thank you so much. My name is Margaret Sekadja. I just raised two issues here. When we were being trained by our professor here, Professor Sempewa, he was saying, when you are arresting a person, you touch the body and say you are under arrest. And then please come with me. These days, the manner of arrest is too violent. It's not following the law, and it has made the public also retaliate against the police. I think you must have seen it. Now when you go anywhere to arrest, people are ready for you. How do we do that? Of course, we need the training of the police, but we also need the public. I don't know how we shall do it. But the more we continue with that, it makes us feel that we have law of the jungle. The public are ready for you. You are ready with your guns, ready to arrest. If you come to arrest a lawyer, or what, he's not going to resist. The other one is civil society. I'm from civil society. They break into their offices to take computers for investigation. What has happened? Will a civil society leader refuse a search warrant? They can't refuse a search warrant. Why go in the night and ambush the office and take out the computers? And is that a proper way of investigating? So I'm just saying, how do we return to law and order and be able to get out of law of the jungle?
Thank you. The director CID's time seems to be up, so I request that he answers the questions, then we allow him. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to, I didn't introduce, I came with the head of legal at CID headquarters. It's one of my first appointments there. This pretendant of police is part of you. He's part of he's a lawyer. We have set up a strong legal department within CID to try and operate legally. So I'm going to make sure he remains here, Mr. President. He can take on we should be accountable, Isaiah. We should be able to put our position and also listen to these people. Now, I'll just allow me to answer these two. I have to run to court to escort some clients before the court closes. Now, Johnson, I agree. We should train. In fact, among the things we discussed with Mr. President, even I've sent him already an invitation. We have a group of detectives, 78 who are in Cavalier for the last 4 months. We have invited him to spend time with them. So we had started it earlier with Fiona. We have continued with him. Please support us to train, and train. Because these are your brothers, they are your sisters, they are your relatives. We have to build together this society which we want. So I want to apologize where there have been mistakes arising out of lack of maybe capacity building. We should work together.
I want to add this. Among the reforms which the IGP has guided us, we are working on the mind of these detectives through courses, through different seminars, to convince them about our role in the socio-economic development and the need to respect our constitution in doing their work. That's one of the main priorities we are embarking on. But two, there are also enablers. I've been talking about digitalization of our processes. I'm happy my sister is here from JLOS Secretariat, Rachel. We have talked, we are working hard to make sure we digitalize our processes. Make it a bit easier to wipe out those small elements of corruption. We are able to know a case in Adjumani has been submitted in the system this morning. It is being handled by detective so and so. Such a work has been done, exhibits have been done. Maybe even after 2 months at headquarters, we should be able to tell why has this case stalled. So those are some of the enablers which we are internally working on. But also the technology. You'll agree with me that the criminals have migrated to the space, the cyber space. The hacks, the fraud is now, I was telling the bankers the other day here, everything has gone digital. So, police must also reform and build capacity to deal with these criminals where they have migrated. So this is part of the things we are embarking on. Now, my elder, why are you arresting people? You know, it's the law of the jungle. I hear you. We are discussing quietly to make sure we become better every single day. It's very unfortunate that you'll go into arrest and then there is a scuffle. We want to work together to build society, to believe in the state systems. I don't know whether you have heard, you can even quietly invite a big person to say, please, we have a few questions for you legally. And this person refuses to come. I don't know whether you understand that level of impunity. So we are trying to reform so that when you are invited, whatever your position in society, you know that the police wants to ask you a few questions. So we are going to embark on this, but we are trying. The few clients we have now, I don't think we use the drone. I'm trying to get money to buy better cars. If you can support us, these ones which have SC condition. But the point I'm making is we must operate legally. The premature arrests, we are very firm about it. I feel embarrassed when I'm sitting in the office and then NBS is running something where a detective of mine somewhere is soliciting a bribe. I feel embarrassed. I'm not proud about this. And we have ordered for an internal investigation. So why did you do that? And when we get these people, we should be, again, legally able to discipline them. And then slowly, we are going to get a better crop of police, a better crop of civil society. My sister was mentioning quietly, and then again, the NGOs, they take their computers. NGOs must also operate like any other member of society. We are all equal before the law. We must go to them within the legal framework, regardless of their views, regardless of their activities. But the break-ins, if you look at the statistics, are not only targeting NGOs. Homes are being broken into. So we must agree that the standard must be the same. I think with those comments, I want to request, Mr. President, with the distinguished audience, that we are proud of this cooperation. We take this report, your observations, with humility, and internally we are going to work together and see those areas we can progressively make better. Because we believe after 33 or 38 years or so of this stability, if we must transform this country, the socio-economic transformation process will only survive if we have a strong law and order system in this country. And police has a central role. Because no investor will come in a country where he's not sure about law and order. No tourist will fly the country when he's not sure that he's safe to spend his or her money. All this now brings a huge, huge burden of responsibility on the Uganda Police and our sister security agencies. I thank you so much, and you'll politely allow me to excuse myself. Thank you. But my head legal will remain here to take any questions and any concerns you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the Director, CID, Mr. Tom Magambo, for your time and your responses. We shall continue with, as we allow him to exit, we shall continue to take up questions. I'm seeing Mr. Arthur Nsereko's hand is up.
Thank you so much, Gaudius Nsereko Arthur, a member of the Rule of Law and Strategic Litigation Committee of the ULS. Mr. President, I know that our views are in that report, but allow me make this additional comment. Friends, when we talk rule of law, we are talking about respect of human rights, respect of the law, respect of decisions of court. As we speak right now, there are 4 decisions of the Constitutional Court that have been stayed by the Supreme Court. And George did make mention of some. Allow me to take us back to 2016 in that attempted prosecution of the IGP then and police officers in respect to the torture that was meted out on opposition supporters. Somebody did run to the Constitutional Court to challenge that prosecution. That was 2016, and as we speak to date, that matter has not been set down for hearing. The matters that are now being stayed in the Supreme Court are not being set down for hearing, and we are glad that our sister Rachel is here on behalf of the governance and security program of this country. The speed with which we run to challenge stay execution, stay implementation should be the speed with which we have these matters set down for hearing and they are decided on. Otherwise, allow me say, the Supreme Court is holding Ugandans at ransom if it stays decisions and does not set them down for hearing, hence the confusion of the Attorney General. So allow me to invite the judiciary. Can we do what is expected of us? As we fight for the independence of the judiciary, so should the judiciary fight for their independence if we're going to have rule of law. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for those comments. We have an online audience. In case we have comments or questions from the online audience, we shall be privileged to take them up. For now, as we get, we wait to hear from our IT person, we can still continue with the comments from the audience here. From there, we have a professor with comments.
Thank you so much, Uganda Law Society, for convening this meeting and for the launch of the report for the first quarter. Mine is a simple comment, and it goes to AHA, the anti-homosexuality law that we are waiting for the president's decision right now. We are glad that the president has mentioned that the Uganda Law Society intends to set up a committee that will examine the law in detail and probably advise, and we hope that happens before the president appends his signature on the act, because we also think that it was really rushed and not looked at critically. As a health and human rights advocate, we know that this law is one of those that will water down the efforts on access to treatment, especially for persons living with HIV. And because of that, we really hope that it can be further discussed and probably sent back to the Parliament. But also, as members of the bar and civil society organizations and human rights advocates and legal aid service providers, we ought to look at it in terms of Chapter 4. Yes, we can decide to be homogeneous around the matter, but what about where it goes to the detail of the Constitution that provides for the right to legal representation? Because I think this law as it stands now places a very heavy penalty on any advocate at any one point that would stand in court to defend an accused person that has been tried under this law. And we need to look at this critically, because it also goes again to Chapter 4 around the presumption on innocence. So I really hope that we can work with the Uganda Law Society and we have critical discussions around the law, because in its current form, it's bound to do more harm than good. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those comments, and we duly note them.
Thank you, moderator. I think this is not responding to anything, but also information to the members and colleagues about training in the UPDF regarding rule of law and human rights. I came with my director, human rights, Kano Deo Karekona. We have programs for training all the UPDF members on human rights. We also have a human rights advisor and a CMI specifically, and she interacts with some of you, Madam Mona Lisa. But also we have got a UPDF Legal Training Center in Jinja, and our immediate past president, Madam Fiona, visited us last year. We have had discussion with the current president. We have been having challenges of funding in particular, because UPDF legal systems are not funded from outside. I have had discussion with my sister Rachel, but we have not come to a conclusion how we can be supported also, because we operate on a meager budget of the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, and we find we cannot do much in terms of reaching out to every member of the forces. But the Legal Training Center is going to help us solve a number of problems. It started in 2014 at a low level. We are given one block in the Gaddafi barracks, but I've also got funds and put up a block, classroom block, and some other facilities, which I'm going to have already alluded to the president. He will be invited to launch next month, opening that block. We also may get funds from the internal budget of the Ministry of Defense to put up accommodation for our external trainees. For the UPDF, we can sleep inside there is no much problem. But when we invite our colleagues from the police force, the prison service, they don't feel comfortable. And even our international partner, we train international ESC partner states, members of the defense forces are trained there also. But we are trying to improve. And as I said, my main challenge has been funding, and we are moving at a slow pace, but it is making an impact. My discussion with the president of Law Society, if we enter into an MOU, then we can also, maybe he'll guide us on how we can access some funding from how he fundraises, but also it will help. Now we have a very big force of lawyers in the UPDF. I think now we are not less than 100 advocates. We are still overstretched. He had sponsored, I think, 20 students last academic year at LDC. I'm informed 7 passed outright. Others have issues, as you know, LDC issues. But we are trying to ensure that we don't do something which is less of the standards expected of us as the UPDF to ensure that there is rule of law. The last point, of course, is to note that we are also victims of what the Director CID was talking about. Our families, when we are at work, sometimes are insecure. Our land is grabbed. Yes. And last time, I think I mentioned it here, sometimes our spouse is also grabbed. Because we are in Somalia, our conditions never used to be so good, but of course, you are aware that the last financial year, our at least salary was enhanced a bit. We can provide some support to our spouses when you're at work. They can do some petty business to survive. But those are the conditions we operate in. And I think regarding the trial of civilians again, there is nothing like impunity. It should not be imputed on us. We follow the law. And the law was given to us by you, the Ugandans, in 2005. Try civilians in this category. And sometimes it has also helped. There are those persons who have been tried in the UPDF courts who I think would not have been tried outside in the circumstances we operate in. It might be seen, but if somebody is an armed robber, has been donning UPDF uniform, a civilian, carrying an AK-47, terrorizing the Masaka region, and we get them, and we try them in open court, the scene of crime. I think it should also be appreciated that we are contributing to the stability of this country. The work we are doing is to advise on the charges. So the charges that are brought are not frivolous or vexatious. They are not trying to bring somebody who is not supposed to be under the ambit of the law. And I think in that regard, if you look at our charges, our prosecutors they are headed by advocates. We try our level best, and I think to that extent, as we talk about trial of civilians in military courts, and we think that it should be wiped out. No, the Director CID said if we removed the security from the judges, will the judges get out? If we let those people who other sectors cannot touch, because somebody who is, we had recent trials in Masaka of somebody who had killed, I think, 9 people in robberies and murders, and he was at large. And he was sentenced. He's serving a sentence, and so many others. So I think that issue of trial of civilians is, Your Excellency, the President and the colleagues should advise us exactly what should be done. Wonder what circumstances, because I don't think we should say if a civilian comes to the barracks, or if he's donning on military uniform carrying a firearm marked for UPDF, he should be silent to the police. If he's got with a police uniform, police gun, or any other gun, I think that's proper. And we also surrender our soldiers who commit crimes with the civilians, and the first arresting person is the police or any other circumstance. We collaborate. Even with the DPP. The DPP has also advised us, take this person, try him or her in the military courts. We have also surrendered the soldiers whom we think they would be appropriately tried by the military courts. I just wanted to give that information. Madam Rich, I talked about you when you were away. You know, when you talked about, when it was Jeros, you said we had handcuffs. Well, now you said it's governance and security. I hope this time you have funds for us. At least for, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor, for that information. Any more comments from? Yes, thank you. We can take him up for.
Thank you. My name is Chirenga, and I work for the National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders. My question goes to the representative of the police force. When do you think you can allow citizens to exercise the right to peaceful protest. Because oftentimes people want to protest because it's their constitutional right. Even when they notify you, you are reluctant to respond to them. People have issues. They want to vent out their anger. But we as human rights defenders do not also accept that protesters should confront the police or do it in any violent manner. So we would want to know, when would you tolerate the right to peaceful protest? Secondly, is the issue of the impunity on the roads. We who live in the suburbs of this city see a lot of unregistered vehicles moving recklessly. Some have pictures of the Fountain of Honor, so the police, the traffic police cannot dare touch them. Now the latest trend is they have a project called MK48. When it is coming, causing all the traffic nightmare, the police are helpless, civilians can't do anything. Why do you accept or tolerate this level of impunity? Thank you.
Thank you for those questions, and I think we can get a response right away from the police, the representatives of the police.
Yeah, thank you very much. You have now brought us in court. You want to cross-examine us. Colleagues, there is a law that is called Public Order Management Act. You are aware it is there. And if there is any provision you are not satisfied with, there is also a procedure you can follow to make sure that it is reversed. And then for us in law enforcement, we shall do the needful. But however, in our respective institutions and departments, like me where I'm coming from, now from the CID, we have emphasized the issue of fighting impunity and disrespect of human rights. A few weeks ago, when the president visited our institution at CID headquarters, we even reported to him that we carry out abrupt checks at various police stations. And we even invited him, we said one of these days, you can choose any police station and we go there randomly and we inspect. If there is any person who has violated the right of any Ugandan, trust me, that person would be held accountable. At CID, we have even instituted disciplinary court. And this court is aimed at maintaining discipline. Because if we continue singing discipline, then we come in workshops, we emphasize discipline, but it should be seen. People should exercise discipline, should respect human rights. And I think when we build this partnership, we shall make sure we achieve. There is a time I attended a workshop at Africana. I've seen one of my brothers from civil society. And I invited them. I said, you people, you are part of this country. You are part and parcel of development. You come, we draw a program, you move the whole Uganda, and you lecture our detectives on some of these laws that are here. You interact with them. And he promised me that he will come, but up to now, I've just met him here. But I will not meet. My brother is there. He promised me, he said, I'm going to mobilize all my civil society organization and you will come and we draw a program. So that these detectives are trained. Because they are human beings. They didn't come from heaven to come and serve. So they can make mistakes. So my brother, since we are here, the problem has been communication. We found a system where people thought that they are doing Ugandans a favor to serve. Barking at people at police stations, arresting anyhow, premature arrest. My director has talked about it. But we are saying, no. We can serve our people better by doing the following. So once we open this kind of communication and coordination, I believe that we shall have a better society. About the cars on the road, that one is an issue of traffic, but we shall also inform them. Because I don't think there is any person in the executive who can give an instruction that don't do your part. Don't arrest so and so who has committed this offense. But sometimes the inabilities of such individuals, we might not know why. But to me, I base it on incompetence. You are incompetent because you have failed to do your part. If you're on the road, you're traffic, who has refused you to stop a person who is driving on a different side of the road? But sometimes the excuses, I fear for my job, but that is rubbish. There, that means that you are telling Ugandans, you are giving yourself a vote of no confidence. But with this kind of engagement, we shall empower our officers and we shall make sure that we serve our people better. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Before we take up the questions from the audience here, as earlier said, we have an online audience and we have a few comments that have come through from the online audience. And allow me take them up. There is A. Banda. He says that the Constitutional Court nullified the sections of POMA that criminalize public assemblies. Then the other one is, I would like to follow up on the impunity by government officials, especially on our roads, which is not only escalating the nightmare of traffic jams, but also causing accidents. When these lead cars knock innocent Ugandans while violating traffic rules, overtaking on the wrong side of our roads, they don't even stop to take care of their victims. Can police come up and tell the public that the government officials, about the government officials who have the right of way and what they are going to do to stop this impunity? That was from our online audience. Now, I'm mindful of time. We shall only take up two more questions. We shall start with Mr. Nsubuga from ACTV. Then one more question, then we have the launch. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Samuel Herbert Nsubuga, African Center for Treatment and Rehabilitation of Torture Victims. Let me start with Afande Isaiah. It's right, we had a discussion about training CID, but as I told him, we are putting together some resources to you, and we have been successful, so we are going to come and we are going to train. Now, my issue is about enhancing the legal framework. Dr. Sylvia Namubiru Mukasa talked about the legal aid bill being passed into law, but we also require the witness protection bill passed into law. At SCTV, we rehabilitate survivors of torture, and after that, in many cases when we try to pursue the cases into the courts of law, being that the alleged torture is done in hiding, is that person who's supposed to go to the stand. But because there's no witness protection bill, they tell you that these perpetrators of torture will come for me. So we need to have that witness protection bill passed into law. I think it's with the Reform Commission, so that at least there's a sort of protection when they go to the. So as here, let us endeavor to advocate for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Just one question. As we get the last question from this audience, from the online audience, Mr. Michael Aboneka says, can security agents respect the court decisions? That was from our online audience. Any questions? I think we have exhausted the questions. At this juncture, allow the CEO to take us through the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gaudius and the team at the Secretariat. I also want to thank our stakeholders for the engaging plenary session. I also want to thank our duty bearers, the security forces, representatives from government who have responded to concerns raised. We believe as the Law Society that we can only make this society better by working in partnership, not in isolation. So I want to thank you for opening your doors, and we believe with better collaboration, the area of rule of law and access to justice and good governance will be much better. We have taken the comments that have been received and want to thank you, and we hope to accommodate and address them in our publications and use them at the various forums. We are going to make amendments to our report, so we shall not be sharing our final report, but we undertake to deliver a hard copy to each of our invited stakeholders. We are also going to share a soft copy online after making the necessary amendments that have arisen from your comments. At this juncture, allow me ask us to come to the front. Allow me ask, I think we have enough space. Allow me ask our stakeholders to come to the front so that we take a group photo. But before we take the group photo, we launch the report. We shall use a copy that the president has, since we intend to make changes to the copy to launch the report. So please bear with us. Let me ask the first four tables to come to the front as we launch the report. Yes. Okay. Please bring about 2 more copies of the report. Just hold on, we are getting. Could we take a photo that will have all of us in? Members, allow us to use this. Allow me also ask all our guests to join us as we take a group photo. Let's move closer. we need to take this table? Secretariat, Gaudias, let's join. Thank you very much. We also want to thank representation. Yes, sir. Thank you for the invitation. You're welcome, sir. My copy. As amended. We also want to thank our representation from the universities and the law schools, our rule of law clubs. Thank you for coming, and please continue the good work at your campuses. Our online audience, thank you very much and have a blessed day.